He confronts terrorists live on the air.
We are joined now by Ahmed Yosef, chief political advisor to Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
He exposes extremists.
You're a member of Hamas. Are you afraid? Do you think you might be next?
A reporter you can trust to bring you the news from here and across the globe. Now on 77 WABC, your New York weekend. A guy who has terrorists on speed dial. Is he gutsy or crazy? It's Aaron Klein, Investigative Radio, with WorldNet Daily Reporter and John Batchelor contributor, Aaron Klein.
I mean,
but what do you make? Are you saying that 43% of the country is incorrigibly stupid or resistant to truth? Because we've got the poll that shows that only 58% are confident of his birth in this country. So what do you do about those other 43%? I'm just asking you, how's Abercrombie doing on his expedition to find the original document with signatures all over it, like all our birth certificates, like this one here, that somebody who was born at the same one day before has all kinds of signatures on it. It's an actual photostat. Don't we want to know if he can find it? And I don't understand why the governor doesn't just say, snap it up, who's ever over there in the Department of Records, send me a copy right now. And why doesn't the president just say, send me a copy right now? Why doesn't Gibbs and Axelrod say, let's just get this crappy story dead? Why not do it?
That right there is Chris Matthews of MSNBC, of all people, raising the golden question. And that is, where is President Obama's birth certificate? Why is it that until today, the sole documentation that the President of the United States has released to prove that he's a citizen of the United States, to prove that he was born in the United States, is a COLB, a certification of live birth, which I'm going to talk about in a bit what that is. Compare that to a birth certificate. I know this is a major controversial issue. I know I'm opening up a can of worms. I know that anybody who ever talks about this issue is right away smeared and painted as a birther, quote-unquote, or a conspiracy theorist. Well, I'm not a birther. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I am a journalist. In fact, one of the few journalists in the United States today who has looked in depth and investigated the issue of eligibility, the issue of Obama's birth certificate and other eligibility issues. And the time now has come to talk about this problem. And of all people, by the way, in the last 7 days, it was not the right wing that brought up eligibility and now has made it into a national news story, but it was the governor of Hawaii, the Democratic governor of Hawaii, Neil Abercrombie, who, by the way, I've talked about many times, his radical history tied to a U.S.-based socialist organization, the Democratic Socialists of America, tied to a Marxist socialist bloc that is operating within our Congress. But that's a side note. In the last few days, Abercrombie, strangely, has been going around and making statements about Obama's birth certificate, about Obama's birth documentation. He told the Los Angeles Times a few days ago, he said, quote, "What bothers me is that some people who should know better are trying to use this for political reasons, this being the birth certificate issue." He then said that he is deeply troubled by questions that cast doubt on the president's eligibility for office, and that he, the governor of Hawaii, Abercrombie, is going to seek ways to get the state to release documentation that proves once and for all that Obama was born in Hawaii, which I absolutely support. It is time to release that documentation. Then Abercrombie goes on and makes some very unusual claims that he never made until today. He said, quote, this is Abercrombie, governor of Hawaii, to the Los Angeles Times, quote, "Maybe I'm the only one in the country that can look you right now in the eye and tell you, I was here when that baby was born," that baby being Barack Obama Jr., the son of Stanley Ann Dunham, who is from Wichita, Kansas, and Barack Obama Sr., a Kenyan, Muslim Kenyan, but non-practicing Muslim Kenyan. So Abercrombie now saying all of this sudden, I was here when that baby was born. Well, actually, there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Abercrombie was present at Obama's birth. Indeed, by the way, no hospital in Hawaii has ever certified that Obama was born in that hospital. There are two separate hospitals that at different times there were different reports and claims that Obama was born at either hospital. I personally called both hospitals, and until today, they will not release any information proving that Obama was born in those hospitals. So strange that Abercrombie all of a sudden says that he was present when Obama was born. He said, I was here when that baby was born. Well, actually, in the past, Abercrombie said something different, that he was not present when Obama was born, that he does not know in particular at which hospital Obama was born. By the way, nobody has come out at any time, not a doctor, not a nurse, and has ever said that they were present where Obama was born. So then Abercrombie goes on in the LA Times and says that he remembers seeing Obama as a child with his parents at social events. Well, this is another strange claim, and something in the past that I have investigated, very strange indeed, because Obama's parents, there is really no evidence to suggest that they lived at any time as husband and wife. Indeed, other than divorce records, there is not even any documentation to show that they were married at any time, although obviously the fact that there are Hawaiian divorce records show that there is a marriage, but nobody was present at the marriage, which allegedly took place February 2nd, 1961, and then the pair separated 2 years later, and they divorced in 1964. In fact, by the way, a reporter from Time magazine already, Time magazine contributing editor Christopher Anderson, Time basically a pro-Obama publication, we can call it that. So Anderson himself even investigated, and he wrote, quote, there were certainly no witnesses to the alleged civil marriage ceremony, no family members were present, and none of their friends at the university had the slightest inkling that they were even engaged. And Abercrombie, by the way, who now says that he remembers seeing the parents at social events, he even admitted to Anderson, quote, nobody was invited to the wedding ceremony, nobody even knew that it took place. By the way, Obama himself, in his autobiography, which he may or may not have written himself, it's called Dreams from My Father, he even wrote this about his parents' wedding. He wrote, quote, in fact, how and when the marriage occurred remains a bit murky, a bill of particulars that I've never quite had the courage to explore. There's no record of a real wedding, a cake, a ring, a giving away of the bride. No family members were in attendance. It's not even clear that people back in Kansas were fully informed. So very strange that Abercrombie all of a sudden says that he remembers seeing the parents at social events. Strange indeed, because Obama Sr. actually went away and went to from Hawaii to Harvard 1 year after Obama's birth, so by Obama's first birthday, and never was again paired up or seen in public with Obama's mother. Then also look at the mother. She, 15 days after Obama was born, she enrolled in courses. This would be night classes at the University of Washington. Not in Hawaii, obviously. This is in Washington State. And Barack Obama Sr. was not with her in Washington. It's unclear until now where Obama Jr., the President of the United States, was living at the time, whether it was for 1 year with his father or it was with his grandparents. And by the way, there is really no proof that Obama Sr. and the wife, Stanley Ann Dunham, were even living together. There is one address that they later listed, and that a reporter went to this address, and there's no records in Hawaii of the two ever renting this place. In fact, the current occupants of the house have lived there for many years. They don't remember even hearing that the Obama family lived there. There is a possibility there's a cottage in the back in the house that maybe the mother and father of Obama rented for a short period of time. Bottom line, so all of a sudden, Hawaii governor making very strange, unsubstantiated claims. But that's neither here nor there. The time has come to look into the Obama eligibility issue, so get out your notebooks, because I am going to tell you the facts, not conspiracy, the facts about Obama's birth certificate and about the issue of natural-born citizenship in the United States. And I'm sure that this is going to bring a flurry of questions, a blizzard, if I will, if I'm allowed to use those terms for everyone in New York right now, a blizzard of questions. So the number here, 1-800-848-WABC, 1-800-848-9222. But right now, Abercrombie, governor of Hawaii, has thrown the doors open of the issue of eligibility, and so it is time to talk about it. And as I said before, I am not a birther. A birther is somebody who believes, apparently, that Obama was born in Kenya or not in the United States of America. For anyone who has read my book, The Manchurian President, I actually deconstruct the main claims that Obama was born overseas, and I state in no uncertain terms that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Obama was not born in the United States. I mean, some of the claims were that Obama's grandmother gave an interview, and this was in a mix of different languages being interpreted by somebody, and then an interview was over the phone, not a very clear connection. I have the interview. The whole thing is posted on YouTube if you want to look at it. The claims that Obama's grandmother said that she was present in Kenya when Obama was born there. This is not true. She did not say that. She clarified, and it was unclear exactly what she meant. She clarified about 15 seconds later in the interview. She said, no, I meant that I, myself, grandmother Sarah Obama was present, who, by the way, just recently went on the Hajj Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. Sarah, in that interview, said that she was present in Kenya when Obama was born in the United States of America. And by the way, the Obama parents were apparently furious that Obama Jr. was dating an American girl, so it would be strange that the American would then be brought to Obama's family, Obama Sr.'s family in Kenya, to give birth. Then also there were claims that the ambassador of Kenya, in a radio interview, said that Obama was born in Kenya. Well, actually, it's unclear what he said, and the next day he clarified that he meant that Obama Sr., Obama's father, was born in Kenya because he was asked about whether there should ever be a monument there. But the other issue is the birth certificate. Where is the birth certificate? That's the big question. Why is it that until now his camp, has spent $1.5 million to defend and fend off lawsuits challenging eligibility, including one very recent one, by an individual in the Army, spent over $1.5 million to fend off these lawsuits, when all the Obama administration would have to do is simply release what Chris Matthews is now calling for, the birth certificate. Instead, a lot of media claim that Obama released a birth certificate. No, he has not. And I'm extremely familiar with this issue, because I am one of the few reporters who has done in-depth investigating of the issue. Until today, the only thing that Obama has released is a certification of live birth. That is it. Not a birth certificate, a certification of live birth. What's that? Well, an official long-form birth certificate, which Obama has not released, is an exact photocopy of the original birth record prepared by the hospital or attending physician at the time of a child's birth. This is a document that the birth certificate that would include the parents' information, like the residence, race, birthplace, date of birth, additional information on the child's birth, including the hospital, including the attending physician, and the physician usually signs the paper, so does one parent. Well, the only thing that Obama has released, the COLB, the Certification of Live Birth, is a public computer-generated certification that simply lists the child's name, the date of birth, the gender, the place of birth and time, but not the hospital, by the way, just the state, and the names of Obama's parents. No birth hospital, no birth doctor, no exact time is released. And why does Obama have a COLB, a certification of live birth? I don't have one. I have a birth certificate. This is usually for someone who has lost the birth certificate or who never had one. So coming up, I am going to explain to you how there are ways until today, including in the state of Hawaii when Obama was born in 1961, but even until today, to get a certification of live birth, even if the baby is not born in Hawaii. This is not conspiracy. This is real. There are ways to get a COLB for a child right now that says the child was born in Hawaii, even if technically the child was not born in Hawaii. Also, the director of the Hawaii Department of Health certifying that President Obama is a natural-born citizen. Well, what in the world is a natural-born citizen? I am going to investigate plus so much more coming up in this action-packed edition of Aaron Klein Investigative Radio, including our regular now on this show once a month. He's going to be on Jackie Mason, plus Ground Zero Imam Faisal Abdul Al-Roof. We all forgot that there's even a proposed mosque near Ground Zero. Well, guess what? He is about to kick off a nationwide tour, and I am going to show how he's going to kick off that tour with a group linked to Hamas. Plus, speaking of the Middle East, President Obama bypassing the Senate, he is about to send an ambassador to Syria, that great state sponsor of terrorism, Syria. I'm going to get into that. Plus, your questions, your comments, you know you have them, so start calling in 1-800-848-WABC, 1-800-848-9222.
Fighting for freedom and democracy. You're listening to Aaron Klein Investigative Radio on 77 WABC.
Well, that seemingly never-ending controversy over where President Obama was born, it's back in the news. Ironically, the debate is being revived not by the president's opponents, but by a supporter, the newly elected Democratic governor of Hawaii. Our senior White House correspondent, Ed Henry, is giving up some surfing today. He's on the stakeout in Hawaii, where the president is spending his Christmas vacation. And Ed, boy, it seems like this controversy just does not go away. Why the governor? Why is he stirring it up?
Well, Deb, you're absolutely right. I mean, this has gone back to the 2008 campaign, where you've had these so-called birthers saying they don't believe the president was born here in Hawaii in 1961, even though, you know, the Obama campaign back then had this certification of live birth, which is considered an official document here. It's not the actual birth certificate, but it's a certificate of live birth.
That was CNN from 5 days ago, also reporting on the Obama birth certificate issues and the COLB. The certification of live birth. 1-800-848-WABC is the number to call up on this New Year's weekend. We're talking about something very fun today, issues of Obama's eligibility. We're going to get into so much more in just a bit. So, yes, indeed, during the 2008 presidential campaign, the Obama administration released that sole documentation that until today is the only document that Obama released to show that he was born in the United States, born in Hawaii. And again, I have investigated all of the claims that Obama was born elsewhere. They are all not credible. There is no evidence whatsoever to prove or suggest that Obama was born overseas. Even the claim of Kenyan birth certificate that has been proven to be a fraud. The other major claims proven wrong. But the bottom line is that there are multiple ways to obtain a COLB, a certification of live birth, even if a child is not born in Hawaii. And there are ways until now where a parent can also, until today, get a COLB, certification of live birth, that shows that the child, it would say, was born in Hawaii, but actually could be born overseas. So let's go back to 1961, and this is an investigation that I conducted in the Manchurian President book into the ways that Obama's parents, or that any parent in 1961, could obtain a certification of live birth for their child that would say that the child was born in Hawaii. Number one, if the birth was attended by a physician or midwife, then the attending medical professional was required to certify to the Department of Health the facts of the birth date, location, parents' identities, and other information. Well, here in this case, in Obama's COLB, it does not release any attending physician's name or anything about a hospital, so we know that this was not the way, it seems, that Obama's mother obtained a COLB if there was only a COLB. Number two, if a person was born in Hawaii but not attended by a physician or midwife, then one parent must provide the state with proof of residence in Hawaii, as well as a prenatal and postnatal certification by a physician. The prenatal report would certify that the mother was pregnant. The postnatal report would certify an examination of a newborn baby. That's right. So in other words, a mother can technically go somewhere else, have a baby, and then come back. And then all she would need to obtain a COLB that says that the child was born in Hawaii is a prenatal examination. In other words, a doctor looked at the mother and she was pregnant. And then afterwards, a doctor examined the mother and she gave birth, and here is the baby. And then testimony by the mother that the child was born in Hawaii and proof that she is a resident of Hawaii. And then lo and behold, you can get a COLB, a certification of live birth. Then there are other ways. One, to get something called a delayed certificate, but it seems Obama did not have this, so that is not relevant. And then another way, if a child is born in Hawaii for whom no physician or midwife filed a certification of live birth and for whom no delayed certificate was filed, then a certificate of Hawaii birth could be issued upon testimony of an adult if the office of the lieutenant governor was satisfied that the child was born in Hawaii, provided that person had attained the age of 1 year. So what this is saying is that all the parent actually has to do is testify to the governor's office, and the governor's office has to be satisfied that the child was born in Hawaii, and then, presto, a certification of live birth, which, again, is the sole documentation that Obama has released until today to show that he was born in Hawaii. So there we have it, multiple ways to obtain a COLB, even if the child was not born in Hawaii. And by the way, go to the Hawaii Department of Health government official website right now and look up state law. It's called S388.17.8, which is the rules to obtain a certification of live birth for children born outside of the state. And until today, it says that a child can get a Hawaii COLB, certification of live birth, if the health department will issue this, provided that proof has been submitted to the director that the legal parents of such an individual has declared that as Hawaii as their legal residence for at least 1 year immediately preceding the birth or adoption of the child. Proof of legal residency should be submitted to the Department of Health, and then a fee needs to be paid, and then presto, you get a certification of live birth. So until today, you can get a COLB even if the child is not born in Hawaii. Now, another thing that people have pointed to are newspaper announcements. Two newspapers, Honolulu Star Bulletin and the Honolulu Advisor, from 1961, announcing the birth of Barack Obama Jr., born in Hawaii. So here's the thing. Back in 1961 and until today, these two newspapers, they simply reprint birth information from the Hawaii Department of Health. So in other words, whenever Obama's mother obtained the COLB, certification of live birth, what happens is the Department of Health sends those announcements to different newspapers if they want to reprint birth announcements. In other words, Obama's parents at no point, they did not have to place any announcements in these two newspapers, but the newspapers would have already announced Obama's birth and other children who obtained the COLB. So I know that sounds confusing. Bottom line, the only thing that these newspaper announcements show is that the Hawaii Department of Health in 1961 issued a certification of live birth to the parents of Obama. Well, we already know that. But anyway, newspaper announcements, are they enough proof of something? I mean, can you imagine I'm going to get a driver's license, or I want to obtain some sort of other state documentation, and in order to prove that I am an American or that I was born in Philadelphia, by the way, I have no problem releasing my birth certificate, and I can tell you the hospital where I was born, Einstein Hospital. That's more than Obama has announced about which hospital he was born in. So anyway, can you imagine I go to obtain a driver's license, and they say, let's see your proof of residency, and then I show two newspaper announcements from the year that I was born, proving that I was born. That is not proof. Then other people have pointed to an announcement by Chiyamo Fukimo, who at the time, in July 22nd, 2009, she has since stepped down, but she was the Hawaii Health Director. And she, first of all, by the way, in her announcement, she spelled Barack Obama wrong. I kid you not. She spelled it B-A-R-R-A-C-K, so that just goes to show you how much work they're putting into this. And then she announces, quote, I, Dr. Fiyamo Fukimo, Director of the Hawaii State Department of Health, have seen the original vital records maintained on file by the Hawaii State Department of Health verifying Barack, spelled wrong, Barack Hussein Obama, was born in Hawaii and he is a natural-born citizen. Well, first of all, what vital records, plural records, is she referring to maintained on file by the Hawaii State Department of Health? Could it be that these are the proofs or the affidavits or prenatal and postnatal examinations that Obama's mother sent in to obtain a COLB? I mean, what exact vital records is she referring to? And then she says, and here's the key, that she certifies that Obama is a natural-born American citizen. Now, this is very strange. It is not within the jurisdiction of the Hawaii Department of Health to declare anyone a natural-born citizen when even the greatest constitutional scholars of today, that is right, even the founding framers of the Constitution, have not defined what exactly natural-born means. Now, in order to be a senator or congressman, you need to be a citizen of the United States according to the Constitution. But if you look at Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5 of the U.S. Constitution, it specifically stipulates what you need to be eligible to become the President of the United States. And it uses the term natural-born citizen. This is the only time in the entire Constitution that they set any eligibility as defined as natural-born, but then the Constitution does not itself define what natural-born is. But since they use citizen, and actually the Constitution, by the way, the 14th Amendment defines the word citizen, but not natural-born, but if they use the word citizen to become a congressman or senator, then to say natural-born for president, this connotes, this implies something further than just that you are a citizen of the United States. Now, if you look at the founding fathers, the founding framers even of the 14th Amendment, they define natural-born in different writings. For example, July 25th, 1787, John Jay, one of the three authors of the Federalist Papers, he wrote about the issue. He said, quote, "Permit me to hint whether it would be wise and seasonable to provide a strong check to the admission of foreigners into the administration of our natural government and declare expressly that the commander-in-chief of the American army shall not be given to nor devolve on any but a natural-born citizen." So, in other words, they were concerned about this issue of natural-born, but didn't define. Then, John Bingham of Ohio, Representative John Bingham, who was a principal framer of the 14th Amendment, which defines natural-born citizen, he then goes on and says, "I find no fault with the introductory clause, which is simply declaratory of what is written in the Constitution, that every human being born within the jurisdiction of the United States," now pay attention, born within the jurisdiction of the United States, of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty is, in the language of your Constitution itself, a natural-born citizen. So actually, according to Bingham, Obama right now would not be eligible to be president because Obama's father is a Kenyan, and John Bingham of Ohio states specifically born of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty. Then if you look at one of the Swiss philosophers, Amirach de Vital, and it was on his book, The Law of Nations, that some of the founders informed their understanding of the principles of law, well, he also defined, quote, "In order to be of the country, it is necessary that a person be born of a father who is a citizen. For if he is born there of a foreigner, it will be only the place of his birth and not his country." In other words, even Vital was concerned that if you're born to a father of another country, you would owe other allegiances. And then if you look at the Supreme Court, at times, like in Dred Scott versus Stanford, they ruled certain things about citizenship. It's the place of birth, not the lineage, not the parents. But then in other cases, they define natural born as both parents born in the United States. And then again, not up to the parents. So, bottom line, there needs to be a constitutional debate. There needs to be a legislative and judicial debate once and for all to define what natural born really means. But right now, I want to have a debate and a conversation with you. Why do you think that until today, Obama has still not released his full birth certificate? 1-800-848-WABC is the number. Write it down. Call up now. 1-800-848-9222. I'm back with your questions and your comments next. One 800-848-WABC is the number. 1-800-848-9222. The Ground Zero Imam is back. Only the media is not giving you the full story, but I will. Right now, I'm taking your calls. Let's start with Joanne in Manhattan. Hi, Joanne.
Hey, Aaron. I love your show. I just wanted to point out that a few hours after Chris Matthews, made that statement, a 4-page memo was leaked from Democrat operatives from August 28th, 2008, which is 6 weeks before the election. It's a memo on how to talk to the delegates in response to the Berg lawsuit. Something had happened that day, and it's a very, very odd memo because it doesn't there's not a lot of confidence there, it's really worth taking a look at. It got no coverage at all, I guess, because of the storm and the holiday, but it was leaked 3 hours after Chris Matthews made that statement to a conservative blog. So
yeah, interesting. I'll definitely take a look at this. I'll tell you something that you probably did not know about the entire birth certificate issue, because during the 2008 presidential campaign, this is when Obama first, in response to questions, posted his certification of live birth, his COLB.
Right.
And the story is, people think that it was the conservatives, the right wing, that right away jumped on that and said the COLB is fake or Obama was not born in the United States. Guess what? It was not conservatives who started this. It was the Hillary Clinton campaign. That's right. It was the Hillary Clinton campaign and her operatives who were first giving out to reporters and to bloggers all of these question marks about Obama's eligibility and even about whether the COLB, the certification of live birth, is fake. I mean, there were a lot of reports that maybe it was a forgery. It was Photoshop. Well, I actually had Photoshop experts at the time go over the COLB. It is real. It's out there. So the issue did not start with the right wing. It started with the Hillary campaign,
right, but
which is interesting.
The interesting thing is this is not from the Puma, the Hillary people. This is actually from the Obama people trying to ward off any pre-Puma stuff that was going to happen that day because of some ruling on the Berg lawsuit. So this is actually from the Obama people. And it's
you're talking about the memo. I'm talking here just about how the entire issue was not even started by the right wing. It was started by Hillary's camp, which to me is quite interesting. Thank you, Joanne. So many more calls here, so let's get to Jay from New Jersey. Hi, Jay. Jay from New Jersey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what can I do for you?
Yeah, what I want to know is that did anybody ever go to Kenya to find out if he was born in Kenya?
There were all these claims that maybe here is Obama's Kenyan birth certificate. Well, they're all fraudulent. They're not real. I personally investigated every single claim that I know of. Maybe I missed something about Obama being born overseas. And as I said before, and I will say it again, because I don't want those Stalinists at Media Matters tomorrow to claim that I'm a birther. I am not. A birther is somebody who believes Obama was born overseas. There's no proof of that. I have not seen any proof. So far, I don't know if anyone has physically gone to Kenya to look at the different documentation. But very interesting, however, is that a few months ago, Barack Obama's mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, her passport records were released, and in it, lo and behold, we actually find that Obama went by apparently another name. In her own handwriting, she wrote, because they asked if you have any minors to list, and she wrote Barack Obama, and in parentheses, Sabarka, Soebarkeh. Now, to put it mildly, I'm one of the few reporters in the United States, in the world, who has actually done real investigating into Obama's background and wrote about that. And even I never heard Sabarka before. I never knew that he had a last name, Sabarka. So this is a third last name that we know of. Barry Soetoro, one, in Indonesia. Obama, another. A third, according to his own mother on the passport document, Sabarka. I mean, can you imagine if George W. Bush had not one, not two, but three names of different countries, the number of reporters that the AP and Reuters would be sending over to those countries, and yet no interest from the media. 1-800-848-WABC is the number. More of your calls next. Right now, I'm on with you. 1-800-848-WABC is the number. Let's continue with your calls and go to Victoria in Westchester County. Hi, Victoria.
Hello. Yes.
Yep, you are on.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm very annoyed that Barack Obama was allowed to make an executive order closing all of his records everywhere. That goes with the school records, birth records, everything. And also that I'd like to know what religion he was under on that passport coming back from Indonesia. And the name Barry Soweto, he went by the name Barry all the time. When he became Barack, his father's name, it was a tribute to his father maybe, but was he a Muslim at the time? Also, the word Barak means the bird that took Muhammad
the horse,
up to Allah. And
you're talking about the horse. Well, so many issues there. So many issues there. First of all, about President Obama in Indonesia. And before that, he didn't issue an executive order to close all of his documents, but he personally has ensured, and his campaign has made sure, that we cannot get his documents. We don't know what he was doing at Columbia. We don't know what he was doing before that at Occidental. Although, in my book, Manchurian President, I and my co-author, Brenda J. Elliott, we uncovered so far more than anyone has about his years at Occidental and Columbia. You have to get that book so that you can understand. I wish I could go into it in more detail here right now. We talk even about the radicals that he was associated with back then at Occidental. So look at Obama in Indonesia when he was a child. We know that he went there at either age 5 or age 6, but we're not sure the exact age. And actually, it is important to know which one. Yes, at the time, he was listed under a different name there, Barry Soetoro. This is confirmed. His Indonesian documentation, including the school that he went to, a Muslim school at one point, and then a public school, and then a Catholic school, the Francisco Assisi Catholic School, where he was registered as a Muslim under his stepfather's name, Barry Soetoro. So why I tell you it's interesting whether he's 5 or 6, because according to Indonesian citizenship law at the time, if Barack Obama's stepfather, now remember, he had a father, Barry Soetoro, and then his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, if they were ever married, they got divorced, and then she moves to Indonesia, and she marries Obama's stepfather, the man who becomes his stepfather, who is Lolo Soetoro. Well, Lolo Soetoro is listed as the father on Barack Obama's school documents. So if indeed Lolo Soetoro adopted Barack Obama, who now is going by the name Barry Soetoro, so it seems that he was adopted, well, guess what? If he was 5 at the time, and it seems that he was, Obama would have automatically become an Indonesian citizen, which means that the President of the United States may, or may not, we don't know, and the rest of the media doesn't care to look into this, but may have at one point held an Indonesian passport. But this actually would not disqualify him to be president. He could still be a natural-born citizen, even if he at one point had an Indonesian citizenship. Well, also questions raised about when Obama went to Pakistan in 1981 as a college student, and a lot of people are claiming the only way he could have gotten there is on an Indonesian passport. Well, this is not true. Actually, you could get there as a U.S. citizen, and if Obama had an Indonesian passport at any time, if he did not personally renew it at age 18, then he would not have kept that Indonesian passport. But so many questions here and so little answers. Thank you for your call, Victoria. Let's continue. Absolutely. Let's continue with more calls and get to Brian in Wilkinsburg, PA. Hi, Brian.
Yes, sir. My question is, with this country $14 trillion in debt, even with legal immigrants, why are we importing poverty at an unsustainable rate? Because once they get here, we're basically paying for their medical, their housing, their food stamps, cash. I don't understand it.
Not only are we importing poverty, we're also creating poverty because we're taxing the rich and we're giving handouts to the poor. This is something that we've done for quite some time. And if you don't understand it, you might want to study some of the radicals that helped to mentor Obama and helped to mentor a lot of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the Democrats in Congress in power right now. These radicals talk about spreading the wealth. They talk about changing the system. I mean, you look at the executive director of the SEIU, one of the largest unions. I'm talking about Alicio Medina, who happens to be an advisor to Obama. He spelled it out. I wish I had the audio in front of you. He actually stated outright that the reason for immigration reform is to reform the country, to reform the citizenship so that we have 12 million undocumented illegals who become legal. And guess what? They vote for progressive causes. So the whole immigration reform issue is part of the overall radical assault on our country. Thank you very much for your call. Let's continue with John from Oyster Bay. Hi, John.
Hello, Aaron. Great show. You answered the main point I had about the newspaper announcement. I have 1 point in favor of President, 1 against. The main thing is I think because he has such a checkered background, it's possible, it occurs to me that maybe that original birth certificate is just lost with all the moving around, possibly. The thing against his possible citizenship, though, is I believe under immigration law, if you're born and one or both of your parents are not a citizen of the United States, if you don't reside in the United States for a certain period of time, you can lose your U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, that's right, which is why this is another thing that Congress should have investigated. I mean, in the 2008 campaign, they looked into John McCain, who was born in the Panama Canal, and so there were questions about whether he was eligible and natural-born citizen. Eventually, they declared that he was. And I'll tell you, when it comes to President Obama's citizenship status, and you raised the question of maybe he had a birth certificate and then he lost it. Well, okay, that's fine. Then say so. It's fine. I mean, if I lost my birth certificate and I had to get a COLB and I was asked to explain why I had a COLB, I would say, okay, I lost it. So why doesn't he say that instead of spending $1.5 million to defend himself in all of these lawsuits? So the question really needs to be answered by him and not by me. And by the way, in his book, Dreams from My Father, he talks about how he was going through another book and he was flipping through the pages and he found his birth certificate. It's in the book. So in the book, he says that he has a birth certificate, although maybe at the time he didn't understand the difference between a certification of live birth on the one hand and birth certificate on the other. So what I'm doing here is not conspiratorial. I am raising questions as a journalist, and I am saying that these questions have not been answered, and it's really up to President Obama to answer them. Thank you for your call. Let's get to sure, Jack in Queens with about a minute and a half left. Jack in Queens, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Sure.
Why don't we check the immigration status coming in Hawaii to see if any of those 3 names appear as a person arriving first-time U.S. without an American passport?
If maybe you're saying that a kid named Barry Soetoro comes in and then right away there's a COLB issued for somebody else, Barack Obama. Well, it's very difficult to check that. I think people have tried. And until today, I can tell you that there's no evidence that Obama was born overseas. Still, so many questions. Which hospital was he born in? You would think the hospital would erect a monument that would be testament to his birth there. Nobody has erected that monument. No hospital has said that he was born there. So these are questions that Obama needs to answer, not me. Obama needs to answer them, but I am going to continue to investigate and continue to bring up this issue as more information and more news comes about. Lots more coming up.